A very good morning, and how are you doing? It's yet another week. It's a Monday, another business week, and of course I'm welcoming you back from that kind of a long weekend with quite lots of events that have been happening. I'm on Juba with Masika Tsime, as we're going to be driving your business, of course, starting this Monday throughout this entire week. Nasi, how are you? How was your weekend?
Oh, good morning, Andrew. Good morning, everyone watching. Thank you for tuning in to Smart Men's Business. This morning, today is a Monday, and this is the final week. Yes, we are finalizing
final week for the
month of June, and definitely we hope that you have done all it takes or it requires for you to make sure you finish up and account for what has transpired this week. But of course, your daily Kickstarter is here to give you the very best in regards to information regarding business and how to improve yourself as a person on your daily activities.
Maybe if I may ask, what was your highlight for the weekend?
Well, my highlight is quite personal anyway.
It was quite personal.
Yes, it's personal, but it wasn't a lovely weekend, I must say. And of course, Sunday people do get to worship, and yesterday is...
You in the worship team? You worship?
I go to church.
You go to church?
I wouldn't say I'm in the worship team, but then I go to church, I pray, and of course, it's good once in a while.
All right. Actually, what made my weekend the biggest highlight, towards Friday night, I remember there was this whole aspect. It was a little bit political. The aspects that were happening in Russia, these all aspects of the revolution, about the Wagner mercenaries. And, it's very interesting how something really came out. And the mainstream media made it look like, there is a coup, Putin is going to be overthrown. But the coup didn't even happen. I mean, it didn't succeed. I saw something, a very interesting meme with somebody had put out there, and this thing was reading how the CIA collaborated with the leader of the Wagner mercenaries, and and then the CIA gives him billions of dollars if he takes over Putin. And they recognize NATO. Then all of a sudden, on the call, then this leader tells Putin, you know what, CIA just gave me money to overthrow you. So Putin is like, okay, bring that money to me and come with a vodka along with that. I mean, it was very interesting. A celebration and all that. So they ate the money, but still the coup didn't really happen. Anyway, quite lots of those events have been happening. Some have really had an impact on people's ways of life, decision makings, and so many other related aspects that really govern life. Well, of course, before we get into any related discussions, don't forget the markets on the Zabu. It's a new week. Yes, it's a new week, and the markets are fresh opening up. They'll be opening up at 8:15 a.m. today. Yes, 8:15 a.m. Now, for you to be a part of this, it's very simple. Start tonight. 2 hashes, simply the USSD code for you, and you'll be available with a number of options where you will be able to buy government bonds and securities for as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Yes, the markets will be opening at 8:15, running all the way to 3:15. And this will run up to Friday. Now, these markets run Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends or the public holidays, where these markets can't be accessed. But of course, despite the fact you have all these other 5 days to capitalize and make yourself quite some huge lots of money, something which I believe is quite very key and profitable for your personal development and growth. Now, Zabu simply says, my money, my future, and Altex East Africa says, do something new. Well, heading straight into our morning call, something so amazing here as the International Monetary Fund approves $120 million. That is equivalent to 440 billion. That is for Uganda. Now the money was released under the extended credit facility. Now the board of the International Monetary Fund approved immediate release of about $120 million to the country, even as it warned that is of elevated risks, including the recent fallout that is from the enactment of the Anti-Homosexuality Act. And definitely the money was released under the extended credit facility arrangement, which provides medium-term financial assistance, that is to low-income countries like Uganda with protracted balance of payment problems to implement economic programs that make significant progress that is towards a stable and sustainable macroeconomic position and consistent with strong and durable poverty eradication and growth at the same time. Well, that is in Uganda for you there. Getting that approval of that amount of money, of course, despite the challenges that we encounter, of course, when it comes to paying back our loans, right?
Yes, definitely. And of course, you know, it's quite amazing, despite the fact that we passed on the anti-gay law, which everyone was criticizing and all about.
But which was right.
Which was right, and we beat the requirements necessary for us to get the funds. So definitely, why would they deny us that chance? So definitely, we're going to pay off.
It's influence. All right. So, well, right about now, let's cross over and take a look at what's making headlines in the press. Well, as we take a look here, we have the East African, the Daily Monitor, and the New Vision. I'll be taking you through the East African and the Daily Monitor, as Mas Katsuma will be telling us what's happening, of course, with the New Vision. But I think this time around, let's start with the New Vision. What's happening?
For the Iron Sheet saga, of course, people are asking why the DPP cleared the Prime Minister, Vice President, and Speaker. Well, that is known to them, and we are here to find out in detail why they were excused and pardoned. Of course, a document seized in 60 billion Ponzi scheme, and of course, a fight erupts over Budo dormitory.
Okay.
For the students, for the parents that have their children right there at King's College Budo, there was a fight, and hopefully if parents have been called actually for disciplinary committees, we need to find out what could have been the main reason behind these fights. As you all know, students are growing, and you know, such things happen definitely. And of course, for those that missed out, there was the Bride and Groom Expo that attracted thousands.
Okay. I see something here to do with documents seized for
detectives.
Ponzi schemes. Ponzi schemes, by the way, are becoming really a big threat lately when it comes to scamming people's money. Of course, they are not just in Uganda, but they are global. All over the world. I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, there is this whole aspect. They name it network marketing. Bring two people, bring one person, and this person pays this amount of money. Then you grow. It's like a pyramid sort of a scheme. And I think really, lots of people have lost money out of false businesses.
It's just that people are ignorant. They do not know which one is right. Or, I mean, you can know which one is right before you invest.
I think anything that has what we call a pyramid scheme, because just on the pyramid, as much as, for example, if these people come to Uganda, you know, and they try to spread this whole thing, just know at the top of the pyramid, there are people that are benefiting. So for the people that are investing in Africa or any other parts of the world are below the pyramid, what they call the slaves. So there are those people that you're working for actually unknowing, you know, and at the end of the day, and none of those pyramid schemes is even a success. And I've not really seen a genuine successful person. Even those that I knew that claimed to be successful before they knew it, there was that aspect of consistency in your success. Let me say that. Okay, whatever we deem success, of course, success is not about materiality, but materials is just one of the manifestations. But there is that whole thing whereby they lack consistency. Today they have this car, probably one. Because let me tell you something. Regardless, even though you get people over and over, there is an end to that chain, and once that chain ends, you're no longer being fed. So that comes back to you. Well, okay, now crossing over to the Daily Monitor here, we'll take a look at, of course, Iron Sheets still 70 to decide. That is the minister's fate, according to the look of things here. And of course, further in here, we see 6 ADF rebels killed and 5 guns recovered. Yes, that is in the Daily Monitor here. And of course, there is also here a reduced student intake. That is LDC told. That is the Law Development Center. And how family of 5 was killed in massacre. Something very absurd here. And some unforgettable memories for young and old at Entebbe. Of course, this is matters for the Aviation Expo that took place, that was last week. And now in the East African here, on the top, we see IMF. Of course, the heading is budgets, and we see IMF, World Bank have their way, and now the hand of the Bretton Woods institutions is conspicuous. That is in spending plans of East African economies as they grapple with of course, the budget deficits and pro-people projects. But of course, they say hard times lie ahead. Now, the United Nations again accuses Rwanda of aiding M23. Of course, group of experts alleges that Kigali helps rebels with troop reinforcement, equipment, and command. That is through the RDF, the Rwandese Defense Forces. And of course, in here, we also see what East African community push to ditch dollar means for the region. What, of course, there was this whole aspect of nations stop transacting using local currencies and evict the dollar. So what does that leave? Of course, what does it leave the dollar to be like? And and so many other aspects related to that.
Oh, well, as for the new vision, 75% of government teachers dodge classes.
75%.
75%. And I must say this is true. Why? Because, you're on government payroll, so whether I teach or not teach,
your money is going to come in.
My money is going to come. And most of these actually are part-timing, which is quite funny.
That is true. They are part-timing.
They are part-timing as well as getting some. And of course, those who work hard, I must say, those who are not on government, really work so hard because, at the end of the month, if you dodge any class, definitely you won't receive anything. So I must say there have been cases of ghost teachers.
Ghost teachers, yeah.
And of course, this has affected the education system, and mostly the students who, we used to find it interesting when a teacher used to miss out on class and be.
Used to feel. By the way, it used to be good.
It used to feel.
But why? Good. But why was it that way?
Because you would be exhausted.
Exhausted, but it's a Monday.
I know. It would be like a Monday, but then you just wouldn't feel.
Okay, or maybe we just don't want to study. This whole idea of class seemed boring.
I think.
And once the teacher told you that, do revision, I'll come next time. That's the happiest. But you don't even do the revision.
It depended on the kind of teacher that was supposed to occupy. If he was the boring type or the tough type, you would really feel so uncomfortable having him in class, or they have to raise you up to come and give an answer or something like that. And of course, the fight that we had told you earlier, it was actually over the 4.3 billion dormitory project. A row has erupted over the construction of the 4.3 billion housing project at King's College Budo, with construction firms accusing the school administration of irregularly awarding this contract. This and more, for those who are into such, you can catch yourself a new vision and read more of these details. Of course, the Iron Sheet saga, DPP loses interest in PM Speaker and Speaker case files. You can read this for those that have been following up on the Iron Sheets saga. So definitely this is right for you. And of course, the Speaker said they have more important things to discuss other than the Iron Sheets. We have more of what is happening in the country, just other than. And for those that missed out the Bride and Groom Expo, you can catch it up in the new vision right here. Amazing things happened. The decors, the cakes, the models, the bridal attire, the changing dresses, all in here. Those that are interested in doing this business, you can get an idea or two. Now, SDGs, malnutrition worries government.
of the East African nations. Okay, of course, further in here, when we take a look at the Daily Monitor, of course, court to issue Justice Omoko Barrio place verdict by email. Yes, that is something you'll find out more of the details as you proceed, as you get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor.
Of course, and in Mbarara, Mbarara city, actually it's a city, environmental degradation threatens River Rizi, the famous river in Mbarara district, Mbarara city right there. As you know, environmental degradation. I must say, last week we said that nature is getting back to us. It's giving back to us. So the more we are doing this deforestation,
of course, the more we treat nature unfairly, nature itself won't be. You see, you can play around with nature and it might not care, but with time, once it starts to react, it's never the best reaction it can ever really give out to you regarding those matters. Now here, still in the Daily Monitor, we see learning tools bring hope to the visually impaired. Visually impaired now, we see students that can't really see very perfectly. Of course, there is some of the new technologies in here that are going to enable them to be able to, you know, see very well. Then there is Lango moves to abandon cotton. That is in favor of coffee. Yes, in favor for coffee. So cotton, which has been the aspect that they really focus on, is no longer a big deal in regards to that.
Well, this is quite interesting in the new vision government to give source of Nile look that matches international standards. Now here I read that the government has finished finalized plans to start building a world-class tourism site at the source of the Nile in Jinja City. Now, according to Vivian Dianzi, the Assistant Commissioner for Tourism in the Ministry of Tourism, she said that they're yet to will transform the source of the Nile into an iconic world tourism destination. You know, like, have you seen the movies where they have like glasses and you can see the water in there? So the underwater aquariums. So that's what they're planning to do.
In Uganda here?
Why are you, O ye of little faith?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying.
Yes.
Actually, I'm not saying that it's impossible for it to be in Uganda. As just like, it's like how they say, you know, they're going to construct something here, and I say here in our country, Uganda.
Yes, definitely.
That's what I meant.
In Uganda, source of the Nile. Definitely, we are here to see they're going to have a tower, a Nile tower. I'm so excited for these visionary ideas that are coming up to boost our tourism industry.
Absolutely.
I can't wait. You know, it started with the bridge, the bridge. It's quite amazing in the night, the lights, and it's one of the places people go to.
It's beautiful.
Take pictures. No, definitely, it's the start. So let's have hope.
All right, now here I see something about the heart-wrenching genocide film premieres in Rwanda. That is into the East African. A movie that is in there talking about that genocide. Actually, that genocide has quite lots of stories to it. Then also here is fact or fiction, as epic story of Shaka Zulu makes a comeback on television drama.
I would love
of course, there is one we watched way back on the time, and now there is this one, new, you know, epic movies. Movies that can have many characters. A movie can have Superman. I'm just giving an example. That's a movie can have Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's a movie can have Jean-Claude Van Damme. It will bring in the aspects of the Terminators, epic movies. I mean, it's just like they bring a whole aspect of different movies that you're familiar. They can even bring in an adventure in there, you know, the Spartans and all that. Very interesting. So there is one of Shaka Zulu, which is a television drama back in there. That's according to the magazine here within the East African.
Well, disbursement of PDM fund as Moroto receives in these funds. And of course, you know, we are seeing these funds being distributed in different parts of the country. Mostly beginning with the northern parts, because they're much in need more than other regions. Not to say that other regions don't need that, but then they need them more than we do. And of course, Kadaga vouchers for the East African community. Now, the second deputy prime minister, Rebecca Kadaga, has committed herself to disseminating the information regarding the East African community to the local people in Uganda. Now, Kadaga, who doubles as the minister for the East African community, said Ugandans have not been fully involved in the matters of the community, a mentality she intends to change.
Okay.
I saw recently something to do with the East African, the parliament planning to get do away with Kiswahili.
Why?
I do not know. Maybe, probably English. People are learning more of English, and mostly maybe because most of the countries do English nowadays. Recently, Tanzanians do English, Kenyans do English, Uganda do English, a little bit of Rwanda, Burundi. So definitely, we do not know why the case could have been that, but definitely we hope that.
Do you know how to speak Swahili?
The little I know is actually the greeting, and of course, and food.
And food.
One of the basics you need to know in a language, definitely. How are you?
For food.
Yes. And of course, government will increase resources in manufacturing, and that is the State Minister for Industry, David Bahati, said that the government will increasingly put more resources in manufacturing and other forms of value addition as part of government strategy for creating millions of jobs and driving the economy to greater.
All right, then finally, as we wind this up, we see $89 million US grant to boost energy access. That is in East and Central Africa. Now, the United States Agency for International Development, that's USAID, has announced a grant of up to $88.9 million. That is over the next 5 years. That is to step up in investment in renewable energy and definitely reduce the energy access gap in East and Central Africa. That is definitely for further information and details. You can go get yourself these copies out there and the different stores, supermarkets, and you'll be able to find further details regarding the different matters that are happening. Well, before we get into the break, don't forget the Markets on the Zabo platform, which will be opening any time from now. Now, *292# is simply the USSD code for you there, and you will be available with a number of options where you will be able to buy government bonds and securities for as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Yes, at 8:15 a.m. running all the way to 3:15 p.m. And this is effective Monday up to Friday. Yes, Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays when these markets can't be accessed. But of course, you have all these days of the week to capitalize and make yourself quite some huge lots of money. Something which I believe is quite very key and influential for your personal growth and development as a trader out there who's trading into stocks, and this could offset your possible trade deficits that is which you might have incurred throughout the week. Now, Zappa simply says my money, my future, and also East Africa tells us do something new for yourself come the year 2023. Well, let's get into the break, and definitely when I return, we shall be taking a look at what's happening in the East African community and also the international scene, all in the world of business. Good morning.
Smart 24, driving business.